All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to take this whirlwind journey through the epic story of France. We're talking ancient tribes, Roman conquerors, revolutions that shook the world, and a cultural empire that still shapes our lives today. We'll find out just how this one piece of land became one of the most influential nations on Earth. So let's get into it. So before we get into any of the kings or flags or revolutions, you got to start with the land itself. I mean, this landscape, this is the stage where the entire drama unfolds. It's a place that would be fought over, shaped, and loved for literally thousands of years. Okay, part one, from Gaul to France. We're going to rewind the clock way back to see how this modern nation got its ancient roots. You can almost think of early France as being built in these incredible layers. First, you've got the Gauls, these fierce Celtic tribes who were there in the beginning. Then boom, in come the Romans under Julius Caesar, and they change everything. Roads, cities, language, the whole shebang. And then finally, another group, the Franks, shows up, and they're the ones who really set the stage for a totally new identity. And this is a huge moment, because it's where the country actually gets its name. But the Franks did more than just name the place France. Their king, Clovis, made a decision that would define the nation for 1,000 years. He converted to Christianity. That single act welded political power and religious identity together. And that's a theme we're going to see come up again and again. All right, part two. Kings, chaos, and revolution. Now things, they really start to heat up. We're jumping into an era of unbelievable power, even bigger turmoil, and, well, the birth of an idea that would change the world. You know, this one quote says it all, really. When King Louis XIV said, "I am the state," he wasn't kidding. He meant it literally. All the power, all the authority, everything that was France, it was all wrapped up in him. This was the absolute peak of absolute monarchy. But here's the thing. While the king and his court are living it up in the ridiculous luxury of Versailles, a completely different story is playing out for everybody else. The French people, they're dealing with hunger, insane taxes, and this growing feeling that things just are not fair. You've got these two Frances, side by side, and it's basically a powder keg just waiting for a spark. And there's the spark. In 1789, all that resentment just boils over. The French Revolution wasn't just a shuffle of who's in charge. It was a violent, chaotic, and total reinvention of a country from the ground up. The monarchy came crashing down, and the old world was just swept away. And out of all that fire and chaos, this powerful new idea is born: liberty, equality, brotherhood. Now, this wasn't just some catchy slogan. It became the very soul of the new French Republic. It was a promise that the nation would be built not for a king, but for its people. So, part three, Napoleon, War, and the Republic. What happens when a revolution creates a massive power vacuum? Well, someone's going to fill it. And that leads to Napoleon and the difficult, messy process of forging a modern identity. Napoleon Bonaparte. I mean, what a complicated figure, right? He comes out of the revolution's chaos and restores order, only to then crown himself emperor. He marches his armies all over Europe, and while his military empire eventually crumbled, his other legacy, the Napoleonic Code, totally endured. It's this groundbreaking system of laws that still influences legal systems all over the world today. So after Napoleon is finally out of the picture, France just enters this wild, dizzying cycle. The whole country is lurching back and forth. It was like monarchy, then an empire, then a republic, and then, hey, let's do it all over again. It was a chaotic, century-long search for an identity that could somehow balance those revolutionary ideals with a stable government. You know, it's pretty incredible to think about, but it really took the absolute devastation of 2 world wars for France to finally land on some stable ground. The Fifth Republic, which was founded by the war hero Charles de Gaulle, finally established a strong democratic system that's still in place in France today. Okay, part 4. The French way of life. Because, let's be real, France's influence on the world isn't just about armies and governments. You could argue that its real soul is in its culture. I mean, France just became this absolute powerhouse for culture, didn't it? You had thinkers like Voltaire and Sartre who were questioning what freedom even means. You had artists like Monet who completely changed the way we see the world. From high fashion to groundbreaking movies, France has just consistently set the standard for what the world thinks is cool, beautiful, and important. And then, oh man, you have to talk about the food. Because in France, a meal is never, ever just about getting food in your stomach. It's a whole social event, it's a ritual. This whole approach to food is so important to their national identity that French gastronomy is officially protected by UNESCO as a cultural treasure for the entire world. Which brings us to part 5, France in the 21st century. So after all that history, all that chaos and creativity, what does France look like today? Well, it's a nation that's really defined by this mix of deep tradition and cutting-edge innovation. And you can see this perfect blend in its economy. On one side, you have these classic heritage industries. Think of legendary fashion brands or that world-famous wine and cheese. But on the other side, you've got these modern, high-tech giants in things like aerospace. It's a country that really knows how to honor its past while building a powerful future. So today, what you have is a really diverse, multicultural republic. It's a major leader in the European Union, a key player on the world stage, and it's navigating all the challenges of the 21st century while still holding on to those core values that were forged way back in its revolution. So when you step back and look at the whole epic story, what's the one thing that's always there? It's change. It's constant reinvention. From those original Gaulish tribes all the way to its global influence today, the story of France is really a story of resilience and transformation. And that's the thing, like any great story, this one isn't really over. It's still being written every single day. So the only real question left is, what does the next chapter look like?